Then let me confuse you further. Anubis gestures, and Joaquim's arms and legs come loose, fall away. His metal torso clangs against stone, rolls, then lies at the foot of the throne. Now you lack mobility, says Anubis. He reaches forward with his foot and touches a tiny switch at the back of Joaquim's head. Now you lack all senses but hearing. Yes, answers Joaquim. Now a connection is being attached to you. You feel nothing, but your head is opened, and you're about to become a part of the machine which monitors and maintains this entire world. See it all now. I do, he replies, as he becomes conscious of every room, corridor, hall, and chamber, in the always dead, never alive world that has never been a world made, not begotten of coalesced star stuff in the fires of creation, but hammered and jointed, riveted and fused, insulated and decorated, not into seas and land and air and life, but oils and metals and stone and walls of energy, all hung together within the icy void where no sun shines. And he is aware of distances, stresses, weights, materials, pressures, and the secret numbers of the dead. He is not aware of his body, mechanical and disconnected. He knows only the waves of maintenance movement that flow through the house of the dead. He flows with them, and he knows the colorless colors of quantity perception. Then Anubis speaks again. You know every shadow in the house of the dead. You have looked through all the hidden eyes. Yes. Now see what lies beyond. There are stars, scattered stars, blackness all between. They ripple and fold and blend, and press near, press far, in the eternity through which he seems to move. There is no sense of real time or real movement, only a changing of the field. A great blue Tophet box of the sun seems to soar beside him for a moment, and then again comes back, all around him, and more small lights that pass distantly. And he comes at last to a world that is not a world, citrine and azure and green, green, green. A green corona hangs about it, at thrice its own diameter, and it seems to pulsate with a pleasant rhythm. Behold the house of life, says Anubis from somewhere. And he does. It is warm and glowing and alive. He has a feeling of aliveness. Osiris rules the house of life, says Anubis. And he beholds a great bird head atop human shoulders, bright yellow eyes within it, alive, alive, oh! And the creature stands before him on an endless plain of living green, which is superimposed upon his view of the entire world. And he holds the staff of life in his one hand, and the book of life in his other. He seems to be the source of the radiant warmth. Joaquim then hears the voice of Anubis again. The house of life and the house of the dead contain the middle worlds. And there is a falling, swirling sensation, and Joaquim looks upon the stars once more. But stars separated and held from other stars by bonds of force that are visible, then invisible, then visible again. Fading, coming, going, white, glowing lines fluctuating. You now perceive the middle worlds of life, said Anubis. And dozens of worlds roll before him like balls of exotic marble, stifled, gauged, polished, incandescent. Contained, says Anubis. They are contained within the field which arcs between the only two poles that matter. Poles, says the metalhead of Joaquim. The house of life and the house of the dead, the middle worlds, about their suns do move, and all together go on the paths of life and death. I do not understand, says Joaquim. Of course you do not understand. What is at the same time the greatest blessing and the greatest curse in the universe? I do not know. Life, says Anubis, or death? I do not understand, says Joaquin. You used the superlative. You called for one answer. You named two things, however. Did I? Asked Anubis. Really? Just because I used two words, doesn't mean that I have named two separate and distinct things. May a thing not have more than one name? Take yourself for an example. What are you? I do not know. That made the beginning of wisdom, then. You could as easily be a machine which I chose to incarnate as a man for a time and have now returned to a metal casing, as you could be a man whom I have chosen to incarnate as a machine. Then what difference does it make? None whatsoever. But you cannot make the distinction. You cannot remember. Tell me, are you alive? Yes. Why? I think. I hear your voice. I have memories. I can speak. Which of these qualities is life? Remember that you do not breathe. Your nervous system is a mass of metallic strands, and I have burnt your heart. Remember, too, that I have machines that can out-season you, out-remember you, out-talk you. What does that leave you with as an excuse for saying you're alive? You say that you hear my voice, and hearing is a subjective phenomenon? Very well, I shall disconnect your hearing also. Watch closely to see whether you cease to exist. One snowflake drifting down a well without waters, without walls, without bottom, without top. Now take away the snowflake and consider the drifting. After a timeless time, Anubis' voice comes once again. Do you know the difference between life and death? I am life, says Joaquin. Whatever you give or take away, if I remain, it is life. Sleep, said Anubis, and there is nothing to hear him there in the house of the dead.